years ago, I thought I was on top of the world. Owner and president of a successful company in the entertainment industry. I was traveling the world at a nice house, nice car, designer clothes. I went to fabulous galas and dinners, and my friends were people you see in the paper and in magazines. I worked 7 days a week and sacrificed a lot. I leaned in, refused to back down with being called bossy, and even shot through a few glass ceiling or two. I was a superwoman. I had it all. Really. It is 4 o'clock on a Monday afternoon when I received a phone call. My grandmother, who's the most important person in my life, has had a heart attack. I rushed to the hospital to find out that the situation is critical. She needs a serious operation in order to make it. The attending tells me that after reviewing her file, it doesn't look like she's a candidate. He tells me that the only way the operation could happen is if I convince all 7 doctors on the committee to agree. Okay, how much time do I have? He tells me I have about an hour until the chief of surgery, who's in a very bad mood, comes to do rounds. Convince, charm, coach. That's what I do for a living. An hour later, the chief of surgery confirms to me there will be an operation, and forever, my life is changed. It took my grandmother 45 days before she finally came out of intensive care and got back on her feet. 45 days where I had absolutely no problem finding time to be there for her every day. Every day in the waiting room of the intensive care unit, where I didn't know 1 hour to the next if she was going to make it or not. And everybody in that room was going through the same thing. It was real, it was raw. Love, hope, pain, fear, friendship, companionship, support, community, unity. My grandmother would not let go. She was fighting. She wanted to live. I didn't think I could love or admire her more than I already did, but once again, she was proving me that her heart and her will were bigger than life. And it made me so proud and humble. My everyday struggle paled in comparison to what she was going through. You know, 45 days in the present moment is a long time for someone who never has a minute to herself. Everything I had never had time to think about, aka myself, was bound to come up. And boy, or should I say girls, did it come up. To say that I was unhappy with this impromptu life evaluation is almost an understatement. For these moments of self-reflection made me realize that what I thought I had meant nothing, and that in no way was I a superwoman. Sure, I had a nice thing and a career, but where was the love in my life? Where was my husband, my kids, my family? I was busy developing careers and businesses. I had no personal or family life to juggle with my professional life. Therefore, I was not a superwoman. What I was perhaps a pale version of Superman. But I didn't think I deserved the label of woman, even less a super one. In my quest to have it all, to achieve what hordes of women before me were not allowed to dream of, to succeed in a man's world, I had forgotten to live my life as a woman. I wanted it all like a man. I was born in the 70s, after the peace and love and the women's rights movement. I was a little girl with dreams, ambition, and I always thought the world was mine to take. I came from a long line of strong women whose hopes and aspirations had been limited by the fact that they were married, mothers, poor, or had no access to higher education. But I, on the other hand, was encouraged to study, to grow, to learn, to prove myself in a new world. All this thanks to the work of the pioneers of the feminist movement, who tore down barriers and barriers of obstacle in order to give us access to better lives than that of the stay-at-home moms, whose entire lives revolved around tending to the needs of husbands and children. But back in that hospital room, I finally reconnected with that part of me that had been hidden in the background for a long time. That little girl who not only hoped to have a place in the world, but also wished she had a loving family. Having been raised by overworked single parents with little or no time to spare, I remember that one of my first wishes as a child was to have a normal home with two parents who have time to talk, play, or laugh. I remember envying my friends in school who could go home at lunchtime and eat a warm meal prepared by their mothers. Mothers who had time to pay attention to their needs and lives. It is okay to empower and encourage women to reach for the top, but did we ever notice that this top we're reaching for right now has been defined by men? By what men once considered and experienced as success, but that this definition has little to do with what and who we are as women? Sure, for a long time, and in order to prove ourselves in the workplace, women have had to show men they were able to do things like them. But we all know we're not like them. Women are unique, different. No better, no worse, but we're different. Everyone wonders why there are too few women in position of power. Some simply conclude that it is a waste of effort to try to convince women to work 7 days a week, sacrifice friends and family for some greater good, be it running a Fortune 500 company, a country, a municipality. Some say that most women prefer to stay home and spend some time loving their children, their spouse, helping out neighbors, giving time to their local charities. To this I respond, what if these women are right? Performance has been defined by the level of commitment men were able to give to the workforce when they had a woman at home taking care of it all. A Superman that barely saw his kids grow up and rarely took time to love or care outside of his professional battlefield. When women refuse to wear that costume, I say they are on to something. And I can tell you because I tried it. I wore it. And even though I enjoyed it for a while, I was not living a fulfilling life. All that gloss and glitter could not compensate for the fact that there was little love in my life. I did what I was told I could finally do, but somewhere, somehow, someone forgot to tell me I had other options. What if working, buying, performing is not the all we're looking for? What if loving, sharing, giving is what we're here for, what we're good at, what makes us happy and thrive as women, as human beings? What if we don't find our power in running a company? We find it in the influence we have on our friends, colleagues, family, community. My grandmother was the loving family figure in my life. And if I am anything today, it is not because of what I learned in school or in the business world. It is mostly based on the foundation of her love, care, and inspiration. Her unconditional love gave me the wings I needed to become who I am. I often tell her, had she been born in the 70s instead of 1923, she could have been the first woman prime minister in this country. But to me, she has accomplished much more. Back in that hospital's waiting room, I was asking myself, what am I doing with the few talents I have? Am I using them to fill up the bank accounts of recording artists? When I realized how empty that proposition was, I was never able to find my original enthusiasm for my work again. In that hospital, I witnessed some people's love, care, decision, having real impacts on the lives and well-beings of others, doctors, nurses, volunteers. And I envied them. They were touching lives. They were changing the world. And I also realized that out of all my mentors, teachers, advisors, it was my grandmother's impact who had the most influence on my life. A lot of women today have one thing in common. They feel guilty. The ones that have a career they love feel guilty about not having enough time to spend at home with their family or children. Some feel guilty for not having time to find a spouse or have children. On the other hand, you have women who choose to stay home, spend some time with their family. These are the ones that feel guilty for not having a great career. Somehow they feel they should contribute more. For me, I found that even though I was able to accomplish myself professionally, I didn't feel like my life was complete. Contribution to a bottom line was not what I was looking for. I wanted to have impact, a positive impact. I am an intelligent woman, but I also have a heart. And it was about time that I put it to use. What could I do to better serve the people I love? What could I do to better serve the community? The first thing I decided to do was to get rid of the Superman costume. For I found that in order to contribute in making this world a better place, I had to realize that what is super about Superwoman is that she is a woman. And to me, this Superwoman's real power is her ability to love, care, share, bring joy and peace, to inspire, collaborate, and influence. To me, a Superwoman cares about herself, she cares about the world, she cares about the lives of others. She cares about the planet and the environment. She is authentic, she is empathetic, she is intuitive, she is creative, and she is kind. And she takes time to be before she does. So if I wanted to become the woman I wanted to be, I had to take time to rediscover and nurture these strengths in order to let them influence what I would choose to do in the future. The second thing I realized is that even when we are superwomen, we shouldn't have to do it all alone. In the 60s, women wanted to get out of their boundaries, but right now, every woman faces limitless responsibilities. This doesn't have to be. Yes, we can do more, we've changed, but this doesn't mean we have to do everything. Let's stop telling women they have to do more. We have enough on our plates already. If anything, we have to stop right now, do less, and be more. Think about it. We live in a world that was built and structured by men. Isn't it time to rethink some of our concepts and structures, and in order to do so, benefit from the point of view of women? It is not the women who need to change, to demonstrate more ambition in order to fit in. It is these structures we need to change in order to let them reflect our values and needs. We value love, peace, diversity, and balance. Let's use our power and influence to transform the workforce and make it a better place for all. Finally, I think a superwoman is not necessarily the CEO of a company. Being a good person, taking time to raise or influence good kids, is changing the world, one person at a time. My grandmother was the superwoman of my life. And if it was not for her, I would not be standing here today. With her love, she made a difference. So when I finally decided who I wanted to be, instead of what I wanted to do, my life started piecing itself together. Being a superman, combative and forceful, was something I had to do, but never something I liked doing. My main assets were always creativity, intuition, and empathy. These were my superpowers. And these were powers that I wanted to nurture and develop. What are your superpowers? Take time to look within yourself. Find them, then nurture them, and act upon them. So while I was busy feeding my inner strengths and transforming my businesses, it's funny I somehow did find time to fall in love, write a book, and start a family. I'm now a mother, an author, a speaker, and a lover. I don't define myself as a CEO anymore, but I know I am a woman, and that I have influence, that the world needs my vision, our vision, and I am ready to contribute. All women today have power. All women today, you have a heart, you have influence. Let's all get together and contribute. Let's all be superwomen, and let's use our power and influence to make the world a better place for us and for everyone we love.